everybody. Welcome back to Jade Classes. I am Manideepa, your English educator. And what we are going to do today? Yes, today we are going to do a poem. What is the name of the poem? We are going to do the poem The North Ship. Today also, I will be explaining the poem for the benefit of the class 9 students of West Bengal board. So, be with me, listen to my explanation. I hope so. It will help you a lot. Stay tuned. So, let's start. Now, let me say something about the poem. What is the poem about? The poem The North Sea, it describes the journey of three different ships. Okay, तीनटे different jahaj. The poem describes the journey of three different ships. Each ship chooses a different direction. Means एक ship एक दिक निये गেছে. Each ship chooses a different direction. While the first two ships stop or return. Okay, so prothom duto ship, so either they have stopped or they have returned due to different circumstances. But it is the third ship which continued its long journey. Okay, in spite of all dangers, it continued its journey. Hence, this third ship, it represents strong will and ambition. That if you have a strong will, strong determination and ambition that you will do it, okay, you are able to do it. You have the capability of doing it. So this is what is represented by the third ship. Now, who has written this poem? This poem is written by Philip Arthur Larkin. Okay, so this poem, The North Sea, is written by, the North Ship. The name of the poem is The North Sea. Okay, so it is written by Philip Arthur Larkin. Philip Arthur Larkin, he was born in 1922 and he died in 1985. He was a famous and a highly respected English poet as well as a novelist. Okay. So this poem, The North Ship, okay, it was his very first book of poetry. Okay, so this poem, The North Ship, it was his very first book of poetry. After that, he wrote two novels. Okay, so like Jill and A Girl in Winter. He became very famous in 1955 after he had published his second book of poems, okay, the name of which was The Less Decent. Okay. It was in 1984 that he was offered the highly prestigious position of poet laureate. But he, turned it down. He did not accept it. He declined it. Okay, he declined the position. Clear? So this is all about the poem, The North Ship, and a short description of the poet. Now, we will do the poem line by line. Okay, I will explain you the poem line by line and stanza by stanza. So let's do the first stanza. I saw 3 ships go sailing by. So here the poet says that he saw 3 ships, so which had started their journey and was sailing across the water. Over the sea, the lifting sea. And the ships were moving over the sea. And this word lifting, it shows that the sea waves were rising and falling. So which is making the water look, okay, very lively, very restless. Okay, so this is what is being referred to as the lifting sea. Lifting sea means the waves are, okay, lifting and then falling. As the wind rose in the morning sky, so it was the morning time and strong wind began to blow. Okay, so it was the morning time and the strong wind began to blow. And this wind is helpful for sailing ships. Why? Because the wind pushes their sails. Okay, and it helps the ships to move faster. And one was rigged for a long journey. So what does this word rigged means? Rigged means, okay, fitted with the sails and ropes. So out of the 3 ships, one particular ship, okay, was especially prepared and it had decorated, okay, itself to travel a very long distance. Okay, so line by line explanation of stanza 1 is complete. Okay, so now let's see a short summary of stanza 1. So what does this stanza 1 says? In stanza 1, what do we come to know? That the poet sees 3 ships setting sail on a lively rising sea in the morning. A fresh morning wind begins to blow, so which is helpful for the ships to move. Okay, while all 3 ships started to gather, but it was one particular ship, so which had specially prepared and rigged itself with the sails. Okay, because it had a predetermination, because it was determined that it will have a very long journey. So it has prepared itself. Okay. Now let's come to stanza 2. In stanza 2, we read about the first ship. So we read about the story of the first ship. The first ship turned towards the west. So the first ship changed its direction and it started to sail towards the west direction. Over the sea, the running sea. Okay, so the first ship moved over the running sea. Okay, so running sea means that the waves were flowing smoothly and quickly along with the ship. And by the wind was all possessed. So here what does this word possessed means? Here possessed mean that the wind was under control. Okay, so the wind took complete control of the first ship. Okay, but the wind was in a very helpful way and it was guiding the ship forward without any trouble. And carried to a rich country. Okay, so because the wind was friendly, okay, with the first ship, so it carried the first ship to a wealthy and prosperous country very easily, very smoothly. Okay, so the journey of the first ship was successful and it was a smooth and easy journey. Okay, So line by line explanation of stanza 2 is complete. Now let's look at a short summary of stanza 2. Okay, so the stanza 2 says that the first ship, okay, turns towards the west and it sails smoothly over the flowing sea. Okay, the wind takes complete control of the ship and it acts as a helping friend. Okay, and it guided, okay, the ship effortlessly. Okay, so it is because of this favorable wind that the ship easily reaches a rich and a prosperous country, making its journey a total successful one. Okay, now let's come to stanza 3. The stanza 3 speaks about the story of the second ship. Okay, so stanza 3 speaks about the story of the second ship. The second turned towards the east. As the first ship had turned its direction towards the west, okay, the second ship turned its direction to the east. Okay, it sailed towards the east direction. Over the sea, the quaking sea. Okay, so here quaking means shaking with fear. Okay, so unlike the first ship, the second ship faced a dangerous, rough, and a stormy sea. It seemed as if the sea was trembling and the wind haunted it like a beast. For the second ship, okay, the wind was not a friend. Okay, the poet compares the wind to a wild beast that chased the ship. Okay, so just as a lion or a tiger or any wild beast, okay, chases and attacks its prey, in the same way, the wind, okay, is being compared to a wild animal, to a wild beast, which chased, okay, the second ship and attacked it as its prey. Okay, so it means that the ship faced a terrible storm. To anchor in captivity. So captivity means being imprisoned or being, okay, trapped. Now because of this violent storm, the second ship could not move forward. Okay, and it was forced to drop its anchor, okay, and stay trapped in one place. Okay, hence it was unable to complete its journey. Okay, so line by line explanation of stanza 3 is over. So now let's do a short summary of stanza 3. So in stanza 3, what did we come to know? That the second ship takes a different path. Okay, it turned its direction towards the east. It faces a rough, okay, sea. Wind became very aggressive. It attacked the ship just like a wild beast. And due to this violent storm, the ship is being trapped and it was forced to drop its anchor, making it unable to continue its journey. Okay, now let's come to the fourth stanza. The fourth stanza speaks about the journey of the third ship. Okay, so the fourth stanza speaks about the journey of the third ship. The third ship drove towards the north. So this third ship chooses its path, okay, chooses its way, and it moved towards the north direction. Okay, first ship towards the first ship towards the west, second ship towards the east, and the third ship moved towards the north. Over the sea, the darkening sea. Okay, and the third ship travels over a darkening sea. So what does it mean? It means that the water looks dark, cold. Okay, so it shows, it is an indication, okay, that the path ahead is full of difficulties. So there may be violent storm and rough weather that the ship has to face. But no breath of wind came forth. Now, like the first two ships, okay, there was absolutely no wind to push this ship forward. Okay, the air was completely still, so making it very hard, okay, for a sailing ship to move. And the decks shone frostily. So because, okay, this ship was sailing north. North means towards the North Pole, polar region. So it became freezing cold. And the deck, that is the floor of the ship, it became covered in ice. Clear? So now let's do the short summary of stanza 4. So the third ship drives towards the north, okay, sailing over a dark and gloomy looking sea. Unlike the first two ships, this third ship gets no help from the wind, okay, because the air becomes completely still, okay. As it travels farther north, আরো যখন নর্থের দিকে ঢুকলো, it encounters freezing weather, causing ice of coat, okay, means ice to coat, okay, the ship's deck, okay, until they started to shine frostily. Okay, now let's come to the fifth stanza. In fifth stanza, we come to know that what is the fate of the other ships. Okay, what is the fate? Okay, ওই দুটো শিপের কি হলো? What is the fate of the other ships? The northern sky rose high and black. So the sky in the north, okay, looked massive, dark, okay, and it brings a feeling of extreme danger and hardship. Okay, over the proud, unfruitful sea. The sea is called here proud, okay, because it is powerful. And it is also being referred to as unfruitful. Why? Because it produces nothing helpful. Okay, it is barren and it is empty. Okay, the sea is barren, the sea is empty, nothing grows on sea. East and west the ships came back. Meantime, okay, or meanwhile, the first two ships, one that went towards the west direction and the one that went to the east direction. So they ended their journeys and they returned back, happily or unhappily. Okay, so they returned back whether, okay, they returned back happily or unhappily. Okay, because we know, so one ship came back happily. Okay, why? Because it reached successfully a rich country, whereas the other ship came back unhappily, okay, because it got trapped by the storm. Okay, but when they returned back, so what happened? So their journeys, okay, were over. Clear? So now let's do the summary of stanza 5. So the sky in the north, it turns very high, it turned very pitch black, okay, creating a dark, okay, impending atmosphere, okay, over a powerful but barren sea, unfruitful sea. Okay, now while the third ship faces this dark northern, okay, path, the first two ships, okay, that went to the west and that went to the east, they had completed their journeys and they have returned back home. Okay, and the other two ships returned either happily, okay, or unhappily. Clear? So meaning their adventures had come to an absolute end. Okay, so happily one ship returned back happily and the other ship returned back, okay, unhappily, because it had failed in its venture. Okay, but ultimately they have returned back to their home and their journey is absolutely complete. Okay, now stanza 6. Stanza 6 says to us that what is the ultimate journey of the third ship. But the third went wide and far. So unlike the other two, the third ship did not turn back. It did not return back. But it kept going further and deeper into the unknown ocean, into an unforgiving sea. Unforgiving means cruel and harsh. Okay, so the sea offered no mercy or any sort of help to the ship. Okay, so rather it presented, okay, struggle for the ship. Under a fire spilling star. A fire spilling star. Okay, so what it could mean? So fire spilling star could mean a bright guiding star. Okay, I mean the North Star. Or it may represent the burning desire or ambition, okay, of human being, so which keeps the ship moving through the dark. And it was rigged for a long journey. And in the first stanza, okay, we have read that out of the three ships, one had rigged for a long journey. So it was the third ship. Okay, so it was the third ship which was determined, okay, that it will take a very long journey. Okay, so it had already prepared itself, okay, in that way before it started its journey, and it was rigged for a long journey. So the poem ends by repeating this line, okay, to remind us that this was the ship, okay, so which had prepared itself for something bigger. Okay, it was fully prepared to face a hardship, okay, but continue its journey and reach its goal. Okay, so let's do the summary, okay, short summary of stanza 6. So what does this stanza 6 say? That unlike the other two ships, the third ship did not return back. It sailed deep and wide and far into the unknown. It continued on its path, okay, through a harsh, merciless sea, okay, and the poem ends by reminding us that this was the ship, okay, so which had specifically prepared itself for a long journey. Okay, so symbolizing an endless spirit, okay, that never gives up in the face of obstacles. Okay, so here we complete the poem, The North Ship. Hope you have understood the poem. If not, again reminding you that comment box is there. Let me know about it. And if you think okay, that my explanation is of some help to you, then also you can comment and uh, okay, you can comment so that I can become little bit enthusiastic. Okay, I may feel little bit good. Okay, so subscribe Jade Classes if you think that I'm of some help to you. Goodbye. See you soon.